Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
The following is independently produced programming. The views and opinions expressed are those of the producers and do not reflect the views and opinions of Falls Area Community Television, its staff, and board of directors.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Susan McNeil. I'm on the Diner Restoration Committee, which is a project of Rockingham for Progress here in Bellows Falls. And we are starting our series called Diner Dialogues. And I am so delighted to be here today with Joanne and Del Bush. Hey, you guys.
Yeah.
How are you?
We're doing fine.
Thank you so much for being here today. We have a lot of stories to tell, no doubt about it. And we're going to kind of go back to the beginning and work our way through the years that Del and Joanne actually owned the diner. So, in order to kick things off, Del has a very special item that we want to share with the audience, and that is a t-shirt that was made especially for Del and his time at the diner. And we're going to replicate it, so you too will be able to have an original Del's Diner t-shirt. But Del, go ahead and hold that up for the folks watching.
Okay. Here's the front of it.
It's the sunny side of Del's Diner
now
t-shirt.
Now we'll go to the back. And this is the back.
Perfect. That's perfect.
The only thing I wish I would have done under the diner, I wish I had, in kind of small print, I wish I would have put Miss Bellows Falls Diner.
And we
people you know that's where it came from.
Oh, for sure, and we will do that.
Yeah.
When we recreate these T-shirts, we'll make sure that we put Miss Bellows Falls Diner on the shirt. But so everybody can keep that in mind as something they might like to see eventually on our website for purchase to support the restoration efforts of the diner.
Yeah.
But now, let's get to our conversation today. Again, thank you so much for being here. Really delightful to meet you and have this chance to chat with you. So where did you guys grow up?
You can start off.
Well, I grew up in Chester.
Chester, okay.
Yes.
And Del?
Well, I was in Brookline, Vermont for 9-10 years, if you know where that is.
I don't really, but it's kind of north, isn't it?
Well, you go out through Saxons River, Cambridgeport,
Oh, okay.
Athens, and it's in the woods.
And so,
And the only thing known about that little town is a historical round schoolhouse.
oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's where that is in Brookline.
Wow.
Yeah, but we were there 9-10 years. Then we moved to Saxons River.
Saxons River.
Yeah, and of course I have relatives from Newfane, Townsend, and Grafton, all the way up through the valley. But we moved to Saxons River in 1951, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and my dad worked in the Fellows Gear Shaper at the time, so then from 51 to 61, I graduated from Bellows Falls High School.
And Joanne, you graduated from Bellows Falls also?
Chester.
From Chester, okay. So how did you guys meet?
Well, we met, the church groups had
The youth groups.
it's functions for the youth,
Yes.
and we were at the church, Saxons River, and you cross the bridge by the Tenney's lumber mill out there. And all of a sudden I was looking out the window and I saw two girls come across the street. I knew one of them. It was her cousin, but I didn't know her at the time. But they both came in, and Joanne played the piano, so she started playing the piano, and geez, I thought to myself, I might have a little chance here, So I went over and leaned on a piano and stayed right nearby there, you know. And so we got to talk and got to know each other. And we started writing each other. And things just
Wow.
progressed.
And so how old were you?
Oh, probably, let's see, 15?
And how old were you,
Okay.
Joanne?
We're almost the same age,
Each,
just
yeah.
Uh-huh.
months apart.
And
But-
so romance bloomed.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the Chester Youth Group met with the Saxons River Youth Group at this
Perfect.
church.
And then it was love at first sight.
Kind of had to be.
Yeah. And so how many years later were you married?
Oh, my God. Do I have to say?
You don't have to say,
Oh,
no.
We've
But you've
been
been
married
to
62.
62 years you've been married. That's what I was getting at.
Yep.
Congratulations. That doesn't happen anymore.
No,
That doesn't happen anymore.
I put up with a lot.
No, well, I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but
I'll be quiet.
what's that saying? Happy wife, happy life, or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
right.
Okay, so you guys then moved where after you were married? Here in Bellows Falls?
Oh, we
Saxons River.
Saxons
Saxons
River.
River. Then we
Okay.
moved to Bellows Falls.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what persuaded you?
No, we moved to, Bellows Falls. Then we bought a house in Gageville.
In Gageville,
Yeah.
okay. And then what persuaded you to create this career path where you woke up one day and thought, hey, maybe we'd like to buy that diner?
No,
I didn't exactly.
Wasn't quite like that.
It wasn't? Okay, I want to hear this story.
No. Well, let's see, that was back in, 61, too. No. I went to the Boston Fanny Farmer Cooking School for a year and graduated there.
Oh, wow.
Then, in the late 60s, 70, I came home and I worked for the Brattleboro Hospital,
Uh-huh.
cooked down in Brattleboro Hospital. So, in the meantime, I belonged to the Elks Club in Bellows Falls. And one time I was up there, I was talking to this gentleman, and come to find out it was Andy Moises.
Aha, the brother of John Moises.
Oh, that's
Moises
the father.
family.
The father.
Oh, excuse me, the father,
The
okay.
father. And he was a wonderful man, a Greek, a
Yeah.
wonderful guy. And we started talking. He says, maybe you will come up to talk to me. I may want to sell the diner.
Aha.
So a day or so later, I did go up, and he said, come out back. So I went out back, and he explained everything what he was going to do. And I says, Andy, I don't have a dime in the bank. and I didn't either.
Right?
And he says, well, do you bank at the Bellows Falls Trust Company? And I said, yes, I do. He says, well, you go down and see Elmer Pierce. And, oh, okay. So I went down and talked to Elmer Pierce and told him who I was and everything. He said, told him what I wanted, what I'd like to have. And he says, well, he says, you come from a good family. I think we can arrange things.
Wow, that's when banking was like, a good handshake
Absolutely.
and trust,
And
yeah.
So
And you came from a good family, which meant
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And things started progressing from there. And then we got talking and everything, and I went back and I said, well, I think I'll take a shot at it, Andy.
And what did you think, Joanne?
I didn't know anything about this until I worked.
And so he told me what was going to happen. He said, I'll sell you the inventory for $3,000,
Wow.
and he sold me the diner at $30,000.
Amazing.
And so a couple years later, you know, when you sign a contract, you put in a clause that says you cannot operate or own another diner in a 10-mile area.
Right.
So when Andy come back to the diner and wanted to talk to me, he says, "Dale, Johnny wants to buy the inn down here," which is Andrew's Inn.
Right, right.
And he says, "I know we have a contract." I said, "Yes, we do, Andy." He said, "Well," he said, "I'll nullify that $2,000.
Wow.
And I said, "Sure, give me the pen." So that was that.
Oh,
He
that's,
says, he says, "I don't want to hurt your business at all." He said, and it didn't. It helped my business more than anything.
of course.
You know. And,
Oh, that's an amazing connection to the Andrews
yeah.
Inn.
And he was so good to me because anytime I wanted to help, he would.
He would
always
help
me,
you. They were wonderful family.
Yes.
here in
Yeah.
Bellows Falls.
Yeah.
But Joanne, let's go back to you for a second. So the diner purchase was a surprise.
What happened was, one day, because I worked in the school system at that time, I was cooking, but I also was working in the kindergarten area. And I come home and he says, "I have something to tell you." I said, "Oh no." And he says, "We just bought the diner."
Oh, we just
Yeah.
bought the diner.
And I go, "Oh." I hadn't said it yet. And he says, and I said, "But I'm working." And he says, "Well, you can for a little while, but then you're going to have to come with me."
And so how long had you been married at that point?
Oh, let's see, 61, 71, 10 years.
10 years?
And 11 years, yeah.
So you weren't thinking of walking out the door. But
No.
now you had this new
Yes.
adventure
Yes.
where you both were owners of the diner and
Right.
wow.
So for a few months, I worked in the school system. But then it was just no way that I could stay there anymore. I said, so I had to give my resignation
Right.
and go to work for him.
And it really was a joint enterprise, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
Oh,
Dell,
yes.
you were on the grill, right?
For most of the time, I opened up the diner every morning. And,
Yeah. At what time? When did you get there?
well, I try to get there at 4:45 every morning.
Uh-huh.
And I'd work there, do the grill until my grill cook come in at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I think it was.
And when did you get there, Joanne? Because you worked there
Well, I
too.
had to wait till I got the kids off to school, so I didn't get there till like 8:30 sometimes. 8:30.
So that's the other piece of this. So you guys bought the diner, owned and ran the diner,
Yes,
all the while when
Yes.
you were still raising a family
that's right.
with your two children.
And they helped out when they could.
Oh, that's
You
a
know,
great
they-
story.
They
Yeah, of
did-
course, my daughter was about 11 or 12 at the time.
And your daughter is
Kathy
Kathy
Joslin.
Joslin,
Yeah,
and she's here in Bellows Falls.
Yes,
she's,
Works
Yeah.
part-time at Leasi's.
yeah,
Yeah. And then your son is
Kevin,
Kevin
he
yes.
works at Walgreens. Yeah.
at Walgreens.
But
yeah.
anyway, Kathy kind of got the itch of coming down to the diner and doing
Uh-huh.
something.
Uh-huh.
So we started her off washing dishes right behind the counter.
In
There you
the
go.
course,
front part, you
back
know.
Oh,
then-
yes, yeah.
Back then, you know, you would put your dishes, you had your dish, there right behind that counter there.
The dirty dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she'd start right off doing them, you know, and then she started waiting on people.
Uh-huh.
And I
Started to
heard-
train her right.
Yeah, so I heard a few people saying, "Geez, that's child labor, isn't it?"
Well,
Yeah.
it was
so
a
I-
different time, and they were, your
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
and-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But she turned her into a real good helper and work. She always worked hard, and
Right.
she worked on the grill and
Yep, she did cooking.
yeah,
Wow.
real great, yeah. And my son, as he grew old, he's 2 or 3 years younger than my daughter,
Years.
and he took to the back room more,
Uh-huh.
and he made a coleslaw, you know, he did all the potato work, because we made our own French fries and potatoes.
Wow.
Yeah, we had
Yeah, we had a machine and we had everything, you know.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. You know, so now we've got the baseline about how you came to Bellows Falls,
Right.
and now you've purchased the diner.
Yep.
And it's what year again? 1970?
Two.
1972. So when you bought the diner, did you feel like you really knew the community because you'd been here for 10 years? And did you feel like it would be a success, kind of like, oh, sure, everybody's going to come in and they'll want to be here because we're here?
Oh, we felt real comfortable,
Yeah.
and the tremendous support we had. Really tremendous support. And it's just like family.
And when would the first people walk in the door every morning? If you were there at 4:45,
Sure was, and if I wasn't,
they were knocking on the door. Where are you?
Literally, they come and get-
Mr. I don't know whether you knew Ken Coda or not,
No.
but especially in wintertime, if I wasn't down there before 5 o'clock, he'd be out to my house
No.
in case something was wrong.
Oh, for goodness
He's a great man.
sake.
Oh,
Good man.
he owned Coda and Coda, the oil company.
Yeah,
Right.
It's in town.
yeah,
So-
and
So he'd come and get you.
yeah, if I wasn't down there,
Right, to
Yeah,
make sure everything
make sure
was
it's
okay.
absolutely, you know, figuring something was wrong, I couldn't start the car or something.
Right, yeah, or
Yeah.
stuck in
Yeah.
the snow or whatever.
And
Wow.
sometimes if there was a bad storm or something, you
Yeah.
went to work because they would be in your dooryard making sure you got a ride.
Yeah, because he was the trustee of the Bellows Falls Trust Company.
Yep, that's true.
Oh.
He made sure I didn't want to lose any time.
That's
you know.
right. He didn't want any default on that
Get your
loan.
payment in.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
So
yeah,
now
very
you
good.
so now you're in the diner and you've got this tremendous support from the community, and
Yeah.
you're having a good time, right?
It was a good time.
But a
It
lot of
was.
work, I bet.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So how long were your days if you were there at 5 o'clock in the morning? When did you get home?
Well, the second shift came in at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So sometimes, you know, it didn't show up, but you had to make arrangements. And then
You worked hard. And how late did you stay open? I didn't realize there was
8
a
o'clock.
second shift.
8 o'clock.
No kidding.
Yeah.
From 5 in the morning until 8 at night.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
I had good help on this. My help was really good. Really good, my help. And, but,
And
No.
Joanne, you, so Del, you were like mostly on the grill, right?
yeah.
And Joanne, you did all the baking.
Well, I did casseroles and stuff for the steam table.
Okay.
You know, the vegetables and
Wow.
casseroles and stuff.
So let's talk about the classic favorite diner meals and desserts. What was the meal that everybody wanted? Was it the meatloaf? Was it liver and onions? What was it?
Well, that's another, you know.
Boy, you think it was the ribs or the turkey?
Oh,
I think one of the favorites was the ribs. They still
Yeah.
to this day talk about.
During the daytime, weekdays, every Monday, she didn't come in mostly on Mondays, and I had chipped beef and gravy and
uh-huh.
macaroni tomato soup, probably 9 out of 10 Mondays,
Wow.
and everybody knew it. You know,
Uh-huh.
so you know what they're going to get when they come in for lunch. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I would say that was the most popular one during the day. You know, of course, we had chop suey and all that stuff.
Right.
But I think roast turkey
Wow.
probably was the most popular one.
Roast turkey throughout the year or just at the holidays?
On
No,
the
no, no,
week-
just on the weekends.
Yeah,
On the
like Sunday,
weekends.
yes.
Wow, nice.
They used to have a big, a lot of busier on the weekends.
So right,
So we
that's
cooked a
right.
big meal.
You
We
were
just-
you were open like 7 days a week.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
we were. We never. there
You
wasn't
never
a day.
stopped.
No.
You didn't have a day off.
No.
No.
Wow.
Well, after I sold the diner, I had a little book I kept records of, you know, and so forth.
Uh-huh.
I missed 78 days and while I owned that.
In 12 years?
Yeah, 11 years.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And
Wow.
we were closed 4 days a year.
And those were what?
Christmas, New Year's, I think it was Easter and Thanksgiving.
And Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once in a while, a few years I opened up in the morning on Thanksgiving Day because there was hunting season.
Right. Oh, right.
And I'll tell you one thing, that was one of the busiest times of the year.
Yes.
Hunting season.
Oh, I bet.
Oh gosh.
Well, everyone was out, wanted to be out in the woods
Yeah.
at the crack of
And,
dawn, and then when they were done, they'd
yeah.
be hungry.
A lot of people from Massachusetts and Connecticut used to come up on Friday. So I used to stay open on Friday nights
Uh-huh.
just for them, you know.
Wow. You
Yeah.
really knew your audience, didn't you?
Oh, God.
And they came
Love the
back.
people, you know.
And they came back all the time,
Oh,
right?
Yes,
they
they
were
did.
like your diner family.
I mean,
Yeah.
we had people come on the weekends, like Sundays, from like Massachusetts, Connecticut, and they'd be,
The same
because-
type of people.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was the same people. that-
Going for a ride
Yeah.
on a Sunday, and then land at the diner.
Yeah.
But Joanne, I want to get back to you talking about food because you were at the diner,
Mhm.
and then you'd go home,
Right.
and most people would say, "Well, I'm home now. My work day is done."
No.
But your work day was not
No,
done.
because I had kids, and I wanted them to have a normal life
Right.
growing up, and so I spend my time at ball games and that kind of thing, concerts, and
You were the Energizer Bunny,
yeah,
and then you continued to bake.
yes. And I wanted to also mention when we were talking about chip beef.
Yes.
One day I decided, well, I guess I'll make something different this time.
Uh-oh.
Because well, that did not go over very well. Everybody was just so upset to think they couldn't have chip beef on toast that day. Or mashed potatoes.
Oh
That was-
yeah.
Potato, French fries, they'd have
Yeah.
anything they wanted.
How many do you remember how many potatoes you would go through? Like how many pounds of
God.
potatoes in a week?
Oh, man, I can't. You know, as a story on that, too, in the fall, I had this Cecil Fisher in Westminster. He'd go down to these, veggies stands on, down to Deerfield, Holyoke, down to the,
Uh-huh.
and he'd pick up 50-pound bags for me.
Whoa.
And I'd store them in my cellar in Gageville.
Uh-huh.
Because in the winter and springtime, your potatoes aren't very good. They come from way down
Right.
south and so forth, So that's what I did about every year.
Wow.
And we had a machine that peeled the potatoes.
Uh-huh.
It was a-
Automatically, or
Automatically,
you'd have to
you
crank
can
it?
put probably 30 pounds of potatoes in at a time or
Wow.
So
more.
it got the water to the faucet. And, yep.
Wow. But you'd made the pies. You were the pie lady.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what were the pies that you would bake?
Oh my gosh. There was pumpkin and pecan, apple, custard. If there's berries in season, I might do strawberry rhubarb.
And lemon meringue.
Oh, lemon meringue
Yeah,
was
lemon
another
meringue.
one.
Yes, yeah.
That one
I'm
was
sure
good.
everybody watching this would have mouth watering going on right now, thinking of you baking all those.
But
homemade
the biggest
pies.
seller she made was pudding there, the
Bread pudding.
bread pudding.
Oh, bread
Oh,
pudding.
God. Oh, bread pudding. That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I used the diner rolls. Big
Ah,
rolls. Which had those flavors
I bet
and
that
stuff.
was delicious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then donuts. So everybody thinks of a diner, there's got to be donuts, of
Yes.
course. And you had what favorite donuts that people really enjoy?
Well, to tell you the truth, I bought donuts I think I told you the story that
You did.
from Jean's Bakery in Keene.
So there's a lot of people, I'm sure, in this area who remember Jean's Pastry. It was
Yes,
there forever.
excellent,
Yes,
excellent
yeah.
donuts.
Yeah.
But I had this driver from Boston delivered, stopped and dropped off papers to all these different places. And he came up through Bellows Falls, he dropped papers off at Fletcher's. And he stopped at the diner and had breakfast and everything and left 2 papers for me every morning.
And they were which papers?
Boston Herald papers.
Boston Herald. Okay.
And people couldn't wait to get in to read them.
Isn't that interesting?
And I think that was a big asset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he would bring you the donuts from Jean's?
And I tell them the next day if I wanted some donuts or not. But they would sell a little bit, but there wasn't a big seller.
Huh.
The muffins were the biggest
Oh,
seller.
yeah.
Oh,
Big
muffins.
cranberry
Yeah.
muffins. And
Date
the
muffins
blueberry.
and blueberries, yeah.
And did you bake those as well?
I did those in the morning.
So what was your routine every day when you'd get to the diner?
Well, of course, coming up to the square, you'd see the lights on these vehicles. And of course, St. Johnsbury and the Holmeses, they were up the street at Reader's. But when these people always waited for me to open.
Uh-huh.
So when I got there, I unlocked the door, turned the outside down light out on the diner,
Yeah.
went over and lit the grill, and started making the coffee. And when I started getting busy, Don Riando would come over and help me with the coffee, or once in a while Ken Coda.
Oh,
And
this was his place.
so, yeah. So then Don went out in the back room and filled the ice. There was an old coffee urn. And that was set right on the counter. And in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And
So anybody
He-
could have water if
have
they
help
wanted it.
themselves,
Nice.
And that was great with the kids too, because they
Oh, yeah.
could like grab a cup,
Oh, right.
You know,
So it was multi-generational.
yeah,
Kids to people as old as us.
yeah. Yeah, kids loved it,
Oh, I bet they
Even
did.
the guys who had, might have been out all night,
Oh, yeah.
cold
There's a
water,
lot of stories there, I'm sure.
It's nice to see that today the older people that we meet will tell us, oh, I used to come in your diner when I was little. It's so I
Oh.
don't recognize them because it's been so many
Of
years.
course
know.
not,
you
no. But
And
won't it
it's
be
like-
wonderful when the diner is completely restored and it'll be memory lane for them
Oh,
Right.
God,
as
yeah.
well as everybody else? So
Yeah.
how big was your coffee urn? I'm interested in how many
Well,
cups of coffee you went through
it
in
was
a
a-
day.
Was a 120 cup coffee urn
Okay,
with 2 sections, 60 cups each side.
yeah.
Yeah.
And would you have to do that like twice a day, once a day?
Oh God, more than
More than that?
oh, once in a while that one 60 cup would last about from 5 until about 6:30.
Oh, jeez. Maybe,
Excuse me.
maybe you don't know the answer to this question, but if you had to guess, how many people came through the diner every day? Ballpark.
Oh boy. Oh God.
Or even just-
Let me give that a thought.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell because there was a hotel in town.
Right.
And we have people that came in for 3 meals a day. They ate,
Oh
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I understand from the notes that you provided, you had meal tickets.
Yes.
What was that about?
Well, we had the meal tickets. It was cost you $5, and you get $5.75 in meals.
Yeah.
In meal food.
Wow.
And we had quite a few people who took those.
That you were ahead of your time with that.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of coupons for people and
Right.
Yeah.
having an advantage to doing that.
Of course, we had the mill workers. That I had 2 or 3 mill workers who took tickets, and a couple of older senior citizens that come in for meals that were,
Sure.
and they loved it. That was kind of you never see that today.
No, no. So when you say $5, what was the average cost of a meal? Was it $5?
No,
What was it?
Probably, like, my big breakfast was $3.
Oh, gee. $3.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Wow. And what would the big breakfast consist of?
2 eggs, home fries, bacon or sausage, and toast, juice and coffee.
For $3.
$3.
That is a true diner. Blue plate special, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
And, you know, getting back to Andy Moises when we were talking, he
Yes.
says, Dale, he says, make sure you take care of those regular customers.
Uh-huh.
And he said, if you make 30%, you make a good living on your
Wow.
food.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long had he owned it?
He had
Previous
it
to
about
you?
14 years, I think, something like that.
Okay, so a long
Remember
run.
that.
Yeah,
A long run.
yeah.
So let's talk about now your customer base. So you've mentioned the mill workers, and then there were the truckers,
And the truckers, yeah.
and then who else? The public service highway guys.
We had the town and village workers.
Okay.
Great support with them.
Yeah.
And of course, we had right around there in the community, in the village there.
Just kind of regulars who would come in
right
every day.
across the street was the model press.
That's right.
And
So
we had-
tell me about the model press.
Well, okay. You know, one Sunday that, of course, we were always busy on Sunday. And about 11 o'clock or so, people come in, they said, there's a fire across the street.
So now this would be today where the parking lot is,
Yep.
right across the street.
Yep.
Okay, and model press was a factory,
Oh, it was a printing press.
a printing press.
Printing,
Okay.
Yeah, the print, yeah,
They bind books.
yeah.
Okay.
And there was,
There was a fire.
yeah, and there was an apartment building right next to it, right between Next Cafe and the model press.
Yeah.
And so all kinds of fire trucks and everybody is there. You couldn't even see across the street
Wow.
in the diner. And about a couple hours, an hour and a half later, people were still eating. You know, you could hardly see in the diner.
Wow.
So about a half or so later, Fire Chief Danny Hill would come in. And he said, Dell, I think it might be wise for you to close. And he said, Dan, I said, can't you see the people still eating? He walked out the door and never said another word. People kept right on eating.
They weren't even bothered by the fire
No.
across the street.
We had to eventually, though.
Yeah, later
Right.
on, late in the afternoon, we did close.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, that must have been quite a scene.
Yeah, that was
I
a
mean, for the
blaze.
people
Yeah.
in the diner. Must
It
have
burned,
been very
burnt everything
scary.
right down to the ground.
Gee,
Yeah,
I didn't know about that.
yeah.
Wow. So back to your customers. Tell me the funny story about you having breakfast all day and why that was good for a particular population. You know, the hippies.
Well, because, of course, a lot of them get up late.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was the 70s. And this area was known for communes.
Oh,
and,
yes.
and people who might identify as hippies. Yeah.
And of course, there's people work different shifts too.
Right.
Like in the Springfield shops are going full blast up there, you know.
Oh, right. What were
Yeah.
they called? There
The
was
machine shops.
The machine shops, the
Yeah.
gun shop. Sturm Ruger was there?
No, Ruger
Right.
was up in above Sunapee,
Oh,
up in there. That's where
Oh.
Ruger is.
okay.
Yeah. But,
So you just have these groups of regulars who really made part of their workday coming in to see you,
well,
either before or after work.
yeah, more or less.
Wow. Wow. What a community
Yeah.
that
And
created.
I had a lot of people come in the early morning though. Of course, the first ones there was people like your trustees, George Dexter,
Yeah.
Max Miller, Ken Coda, sometimes Buddy Toussaint. Yeah.
And they would sort of come
And
in.
they would sit down in the end booth,
They had their
and-
booth, yeah.
and you could hear what they were saying from the night before, the trustee meeting, or select board meeting.
Oh,
So you got all the gossip, you know? Yeah,
let's see. Okay, so what year now? So you bought it again in 72?
yeah.
72. So when did you make the really smart, important decision to put the diner on the historic register? Because without that decision, you know, what we're trying to do today to bring the diner back to its glory
Mhm.
days would be so much harder. It was absolutely the right thing to do at the time. What persuaded you?
You know, I think I was talking about doing that in 1976.
Okay.
I was talking to one of the, was one of the members of the village trustees or someone, I can't recall the name right now.
Sure.
And he started talking about it, and he said you could get grants to do a lot of repairs, and if you need to, and all that stuff.
Right.
And so I thought about it for a while, and I said, geez, why would I want to change anything in here? You know, because it's original.
Exactly. Worcester lunch car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really didn't want to change anything, because that's what Andy Moises told me. He said, don't change anything.
Huh.
Yeah, and I took his advice, but then years went by and I got involved with it, I guess, and I got it at the registry at 1982, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that was just, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, because it was just the right thing to do. And
Well,
it
the
helped
only-
to preserve the
Yeah.
historic value of this really important piece
Yes,
of history.
definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
the only really addition I did to it, if I remember correctly, it used to be hotter than a son of a gun in there in summertime.
I bet. Oh, I bet.
So I had the electrician, Billy Blanchard, put 2 overhead fans in.
No air conditioning.
No,
No.
no air. I had an air conditioner, but it wouldn't do anything.
Wouldn't keep up. No.
No,
No.
but that was
Wow.
about the only thing. I did repair the roof once, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
those you have to do. You
Of
have
course.
to do them.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
So then, when did you sell? When did you sell the diner?
At the end of 1983.
83.
Yeah.
Were you just tired?
No, I had a lot of eye problems. This is where I started going downhill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't use the word downhill. I think you're pretty chipper and your memory is outstanding, so I'm really glad you're here. But I understand that.
Yeah.
I got worn out.
Get worn, and who wouldn't get worn
No, that
out?
didn't bother me. Yeah.
No,
But
I
you had a
didn't.
great run. You
I
had a
did.
great run as owners, and these stories are just priceless, really priceless.
Yeah.
So let's get now into some of the stories that you shared with me, which sound like they need a little bit more information for everyone to enjoy. So we'll start with the first one, which is the roosters that were left off at the diner as a joke.
Oh boy, yes.
What's the rooster joke about?
You want to tell them?
No, you do a good job.
Well, we had, in the fall, all of a sudden I'd come into work and I see a couple of chickens or roosters out back.
Okay.
I didn't think too much of it, They were still there, keep there, right there, come on. Every day, they were there.
And they just
Right to the-
appeared out of nowhere.
Right through the winter, they stayed in back of the diner.
Wow.
And he
During
woke
the day sometimes, they'd walk down the sidewalk, right down to the Bellows Falls Trust Company.
No.
Yep, and people would
Get out of the way?
They couldn't,
You know?
couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Yeah, and I blamed it on Paulie Ullman, as he was a great guy, North Walpole, and he liked to do a lot of pranks and joke around,
And he just thought he'd drop these off for you.
Yeah. And
I mean, it
everybody
goes
made comments, you know, about, geez, you're getting fresh eggs anyway.
And they would crow,
Yeah.
you know, in the morning with a 5:30. It was early, as soon as the sun came up or something.
Oh, well, of
And wake
course.
up.
Oh, everybody loved that. It's like, oh, the diner's open. We're here.
I had a lot of comments
And how long did they hang around?
until spring,
Jeez. That is funny.
right through the winter. I couldn't believe it. I said, I'm not going to bother them.
And
No.
people tried to catch them. They were different people.
Well, that would have been funny to watch.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And then what about the Arch Bridge event?
Oh my goodness.
You had people standing on the roof of the diner.
Oh, yeah. As you go in the door by the
Yeah.
street there, yeah. Oh, everybody was just waiting for that bridge to go down.
And then it took days,
Yeah,
right?
that didn't go down.
Yeah. And my sister and I, we took off to Florida to see our parents, and we were so sure, everybody was sure that by the time we got back it was down. Well, that didn't happen. It's still standing when we got home.
Hey, oh, man.
So
But that was
funny.
national news, you know.
Oh, yes.
That was national news.
I forget. I remember hearing about it, but why didn't it go down?
It's
Right
too well
away.
built.
It was too well built,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was amazing. But I have this vision of people on the roof of the diner, like peering out into the
Yeah.
distance.
Yeah.
Why is the bridge falling down?
Right.
Could have made that, sold
Hmm.
tickets to that.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the motorcyclist from Grafton
Oh, you
And-
can tell that story.
and the women's lib moment, because that's pretty funny.
Well, we had a guy that was like a bodyguard because they'd come into town, you know, they're really boisterous and
Yeah.
all this. And
So a bodyguard that you guys hired to
we
make
didn't-
sure
we
everything
didn't
was
hire
okay?
him, but he decided that he was a bodyguard.
Okay.
um,
What was that? On the
when the motorcyclists,
Oh.
afraid they were getting, because I guess in the past they're getting really rowdy
Yeah.
and stuff. Well,
Yeah.
so he's decided that he's going to be the guard.
That's funny.
about the. I was thinking about the girl in the diner there.
Well, go ahead, tell it.
Well, they were eating breakfast, and there's one girl with them, and they got ready to leave. The girl gets up, takes her bra off,
Oh, that's right.
and throws it in the
In
trash can in front of the
The
So
water
she-
jug.
counter.
In the diner, she did this.
Yes, in the diner.
I mean, I
Did,
saw her go like this, but I didn't give too much of a thought.
Right.
All of a sudden, zip out it comes.
and why?
And it lands on the trash barrel, hangs there. She just left and walked
I
out.
wish I had a picture of it. I was taking a picture
Oh,
of it.
you didn't think of that at the time, when it happened.
Right?
And
But I mean,
and the
what-
water jug was sitting up on the
On the counter?
right up above it.
So, and you had no idea why. Suddenly she just
No.
was
No.
inspired.
Didn't say nothing. See you later.
Off she went.
That was an important moment for her. You,
Yeah.
you can
Was.
bet that it was. That is hysterical.
Yeah.
So funny.
Oh my gosh.
And back to your customer base. So I bet you were inundated during foliage season.
Oh, busy
yeah.
time of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, buses stopped and
Buses too.
oh, yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Do you have like the sort of the line out the door, or because you only could seat how many people?
28.
Oh, they would be backed up like almost down to the Legion. Waiting to come in.
But
Really?
mostly they had out orders, like coffee to go and a muffin and something like that
Oh, right,
Yeah.
to go.
right.
Yeah.
And then Steamtown, of course, was going
That was-
strong.
that
Yeah.
was
Oh
the-
boy. I miss those Steamtown people because they used to come in, they sit at the counter. They talked about the railroad
Right.
traditions and all that stuff. Because
Right.
they were ex-workers on the railroad. And I had a lot of those type of people come in and talk like that.
Yeah, true community.
Yeah.
True community, which is the point of a diner, right? It's there for
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
to be able to come in and have a bite to eat and chat with their neighbor and get to
Yeah.
know one another.
Yeah.
Did you
No, I
ever?
was kind of sorry to see them go,
Yeah.
because,
They-
Oh, I think a
It
lot
was-
of people.
Well,
you
a
know.
lot of people
Definitely.
didn't realize how much that they added to the town, because, you know,
Right.
they go to, there was the Newberries,
Of course.
and, you know, they spent money. It was,
Yeah.
then once they were gone, you know, people wished,
Well, I mean, you know, along those lines, having the diner so active and well known was a real point of tourism, you know, an economy for the town,
exactly.
bringing in so much money and people that you employed, keeping the diner alive. It was a livelihood for you.
Right.
And then everybody who came through town, particularly with, you know, not the 91 corridor and Route 5, and you naturally had to come this way.
yeah.
I'm sure that you were known far and wide. When people were planning their trips, they probably were sure to say, and don't
Oh,
forget
yes.
to stop at the Miss Bellows Falls Diner.
Right.
Well, we
That's
did
true.
get written up in the Yankee magazine twice,
Nice.
and the
Very
Boston
nice.
Globe 2 or 3
Yeah.
times.
I'm going to make a note of that. I want to get copies of those articles.
Did
And-
Charlie get copies of them?
Oh, I don't know. He may have already, but
There's the Yankee
Yeah,
magazine.
and Boston Globe, fantastic.
Yeah, the Yankee magazine.
Yeah.
What was, there was another one.
Yeah. That was good.
I mean, what a run. I mean,
Oh.
just so much heartfelt congratulations to the both of you and everything that you
Well, you get to
brought
know
to the village. You get to know everybody.
everybody and their moods and actions and so forth, you
And
know.
so, you know, we're going to have you, as I said to Joanne earlier, when the diner comes back, all restored, not changed. We want to make sure people understand that.
Right.
Yeah.
That this is a restoration and renovation
Oh,
project.
Absolutely.
So when everything comes back, you know, the exterior may look a little different, but that's to accommodate new zoning and accessibility needs. Maybe there'll be some outside dining that will be available for people as
Yeah.
well, because that's what is enjoyed today, of course. And if we can bring more seats to the diner, better still. But when the day comes, when the diner opens, we're hoping in 2025, spring, early summer, you guys are the guests of honor, and you're going to have to cut that ribbon. We're going to wrap the diner in a big ribbon, and you get to cut the ribbon, that's for sure.
Well, they got a mansion to just wonderful, great support from the community.
Yes, and I'm sure it will still be there. And all the little kids who came into the diner
Yeah.
will be there. I'm sure they'll travel from wherever they are
And,
to come back to
Once
the
they
diner.
realize that this
Once
will
they
be-
realize
yeah.
it's
and
here.
of course, the mills are all gone now.
Yeah.
They are gone. That's
Yeah.
a bygone era.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Robinson paper and
Yeah,
Yeah.
Red Dawkins is, you know, and
yeah, yeah. But then there's a whole
trucking company.
right. But there's a whole new base of people who, particularly in the last 5 years, are rediscovering Bellows
Yeah, I hope
Falls
so.
True.
as a
Yeah.
place to be. Oh, I think we see that all the time. And
Yeah.
the diner restoration is just such a linchpin
Yeah.
to bringing people into those historic times
Mhm.
and reliving community and all of those memories as well. Yeah.
Well, the wireless bridge was a very important
Oh,
That's right.
no doubt.
bridge.
And hopefully, what, by 2028, I
I
think
don't know
now?
if they ever.
Well, they said 2015, and look what it is
No,
now.
that, right. But I think that I read within the last 6 months that New Hampshire is working out its issues with Vermont around who's going to pay for what,
Oh,
and that the bridge will eventually come back online. Won't be for a few years.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. That was a terrible blow.
Oh,
Yeah.
To
boy,
close that
Because
bridge.
all the Keene people, like,
Well, I know. I
Others
would
and-
cross that bridge all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, and that part of town suffered.
yeah,
But I think between everything else that's going on, you know, it'll all
yeah,
come
they
back
know now.
in
Yeah,
glory.
they get used to the adjustment. And,
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So I know one thing that you wanted to talk about now that we've kind of gone through the trajectory of your ownership of the diner and all of the great memories that go along with that. You wanted to talk about the things that are no longer there that were important, like the jukeboxes.
Yes.
Right. So, do you recall, was there like a favorite song that you just thought, oh my God, don't play that song again?
Oh,
I can't listen to that one more time,
I
or,
can't, there's so many of them.
yeah,
But they're, I think that was just great for the diner there. Those jukeboxes, the guy that owned them came once every 2 weeks and checked everything out and cashed up. And of course I had a cigarette machine there back too.
oh, right,
Yeah, and he,
yeah,
plus
that's gone
he was
now.
in charge of that.
Uh-huh,
All he did was give me the money.
and the cost of that was what?
No, all he did was give me the money that
No, it's in the
was in the
machines, right?
jukebox. Or,
But the
yeah.
cost of a song on a jukebox was how
Oh,
much?
10 cents.
10 cents.
3 for a quarter.
3 for a quarter.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
I mean, that's an important consideration for us as we think about restoring the
Yeah.
Oh,
diner.
that's true.
You know, bringing back the jukeboxes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to add that to our list to be able to discuss and see where it can go.
Yeah.
And then that outside diner sign, which
Yes.
is so prominent in some of the old photographs. And shout out to the Bellows Falls Historical Society,
Yeah.
which has done such a beautiful job of capturing the early history of Bellows Falls.
Mhm.
And I love on Facebook. Either you guys on Facebook?
Yeah, I know on
Machine.
that.
Yeah. So all the old photos that they repost.
Oh, yes,
And there's a number of them that they've been
Yeah.
reposting about the diner as well.
yeah, I know.
You know, you're coming down up to the square, and you see that sign.
Right,
And coming across the Arch Bridge, you see that sign.
right.
And I just thought it was just
Oh, I agree.
really big asset there.
And it was a neon sign, right? It lit up.
Yes.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And Cheshire Signs, I had that repaired once.
Uh-huh.
Cheshire Signs
In
in Keene.
Keene did that?
In Keene had that, you know.
I think they're still around.
I'm not, I was talking to somebody down there and they said, I don't think they're here anymore.
Oh, huh.
But now I gotta tell you a little story that
Yeah.
one night, Butch and Betty Burns and Joanne and I, at about 8:30 at night, took a ride up to Fall Mountain, on top of Fall Mountain,
Wow.
in a Jeep.
Uh-huh.
And of course, we had to come along and chainsaws and
Oh, God.
all that, you know, in case we got stuck.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Butchie drives right out on the edge of the rocks there.
Uh-oh.
I said, "Oh God, I was scared stiff." But we enjoyed, and you could see perfectly the diner sign
Yes.
lit up, and all the lights. It was just beautiful.
It was like a beacon.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
I wish I had a camera because it'd been a nice picture to take.
It would have been a nice picture. Well, so that's another thing that we need to think about. That was definitely very important.
Yes, the sign is very important.
Yes. And then did you have one of those original cash registers that, you know, had all the buttons that you'd push and the drawer would come
I was
out?
going to ask around about that. I think then I forgot all about it. I was going to ask Kay and Nelson, who bought the diner for me.
Uh-huh.
I think they replaced that.
Oh.
And
So they might still have it, maybe?
I don't know. I was going to ask them.
That would be great.
You know,
That would be great.
'cause
I
you
mean,
know,
everything
big
now-
old thing, you know,
I
push
know.
button thing. And
Even just as an artifact, you know, because now everything has to get hooked up to the internet and electronically. People are
Yeah.
using credit cards and all of that. But it would be a great
Oh, yeah.
centerpiece
Yeah.
to have that if it was possible to be found. And then there's a picture that the Historic Science Society posted on Facebook about those great hand-done signs.
Oh.
Yes.
So tell me about that. Who did those?
They're 6 by 12, maybe, you know. And when I was there starting off, Tony Russo, he was a local artist. He was doing them.
Uh-huh.
And when he passed or left town, Terry Griffin took over. And they represented, if I was going to sell, say, roast turkey, and he'd have some comical a picture up there with
Uh-huh.
a turkey and so forth, you know.
Right.
Dress.
They were all so interesting.
And would that happen once a week? Would they come in and do the signs once a week?
Oh, no, we kept this,
Oh, you kept them and then recycled them.
yeah, they would be,
Oh yeah, they would be there because they were permanent just about, you know.
they were
Oh.
They were
strung
hung
up on a
across the
wire.
front of the diner on a
Oh.
wire. You had hooks on them. You just
Okay.
hooked up, you know.
Instead of a menu, in the menu, you would look up and you
Oh,
could see
fun.
what you
Yeah.
wanted special.
What you wanted to.
Same with the
Special.
breakfast signs, you know, the
Yeah.
same thing, you know. And, yeah,
That
and
was very clever.
and the people that came in and sat down, you know, they look up and some of them were laughing, you know, yeah, at the pictures. You know.
It was art.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
diner
exactly
art.
right, yeah.
Exactly right.
Art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think we've covered. Oh, the dessert cases. So
Yeah,
we
they're-
need to
they're
bring
missing.
those back, right?
Yes.
They're
Because
missing.
we got to
from
have pie and muffins and
Yeah.
everything else in the dessert cases for
We used to
people.
fill the bottom of the dessert cases with ice.
No, that one's still there, I believe.
Oh, it is?
But these were the ones behind the grill and behind the steam table.
Okay.
Oh, they're like
Yeah.
several layers, like 3 stories.
No,
or-
just just one section, you know,
Oh.
all covered, you know, flat.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
opening was on the inside.
Yes.
And like, you could put, we had drakes come in, you know, drakes.
Yes. Yeah.
Like those Swiss rolls and,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
they take care of all that, you know.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. But
So
Yeah.
let's. Oh, sorry. Don't interrupt
another
you.
thing I mentioned, the grill cook. The grill cook, while I was there, did not get a guest slip for all the orders. The waitress hollered out to him.
Wow.
So the grill cook had to have a memory.
Impressive.
Yeah. And but if the cook didn't quite get them straight, the waitress would help him out.
So the
Yeah.
waitress would literally call out the orders.
Yeah.
And the grill cook or you would be on the grill, and
Yeah.
you just would like, oh, okay.
You remember?
When I'm done with this, I got to do this, and then I have to do this, and oh
Well,
my
some of
goodness,
them-
that's impressive.
Yeah, our daughter's just like him. She could remember when she was grill cooking. You could just give her a bunch of menus, slips. She could remember them all.
Good training.
I
Well,
said,
No
Yeah.
child labor
It-
there.
it-
That was excellent training.
It was a knack.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But you know, if somebody
Like
come
when
in
you-
behind the counter or at the booth or something, they all they wanted was a toast
Yeah.
or English muffin, something like that. Oh, I'd put it right underneath and get it out of there ahead of these other orders.
I mean,
Because that's
that
how
was,
they all, because that's, you know,
that was incredible multitasking.
yeah. And
Wow.
another little story on those English muffins.
Oh, what's that?
Well, it was under the grill, you know.
Oh, yes,
Put them under
yes.
the grill.
Yeah.
So I got to know, they got to be known as hockey pucks.
Uh-oh.
You know,
A little overdone, huh?
once in a while, you know, the see smoke coming out from underneath the grill. I said, oh, jeez. Well, they had quite a time over that.
Yeah,
you know.
you're forgiven.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine what you went through every single day and how many people you fed and all the you were juggling so many things at once.
We had a lot of laughs, so
I bet.
we did, really did have a
Oh,
lot
I
of
bet.
laughs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you each have a favorite story
No, I can't think of the
out of all
favorite
those
one.
years? I mean, so many great stories.
Yeah, a lot of memories and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
But as you get older, you lose those memories too.
Listen, I just have to say, I am so impressed, Del. I mean, sometimes can't remember last week, and you're remembering back
He does.
decades, and you too, Joanne. But Del really is the keeper of the flame here. Right, thank you so much for all of this.
Now, did you know that when I bought the diner, I did not own the land?
No, I don't know about that. So you bought the diner from
And I had to-
Moises, but you didn't own the land?
Right, it was leased. I mean, you had to pay rent
Oh.
for a couple of people from Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah, and you had to pay them every month, and they kept going up and up and up on the rent every year, you know. They got
Wow.
up pretty high. So, in the meantime, you know, the model press in the building next to it had burnt to the ground.
Right?
And one morning, Larry Huffling from Alstead came in. He was kind of a real estate guy. He said, Del, why don't you buy that piece of land across the street? I said, well, what do I want that for? I said, just a little investment.
Oh.
Well, I did buy it. I don't know,
Wow.
$1,000 or something like that.
For the lot, the empty
But just for the
lot.
lot, because it's all
Rubble.
filled up with rubble and everything.
Right?
Excuse me. And, so I got to thinking, geez, these ladies, you know, they keep jacking the rent up. I'll move the diner across the street.
Wow.
And I drew up sketches and everything. And you know, the pastry cases, right?
Yeah.
And there's a shelf there, you know, and everything. So I put the sketches right in front. And unbeknownst to me, a gentleman came in almost every Sunday morning and sat behind there and peeking at those sketches. Looking at them. Well, I think he asked me once, what are those for? I said, well, I bought the land across the street, and I'm thinking of moving the diner across the street because the rent is getting up pretty high. Oh. No, I didn't. He said, well, there's a couple of ladies in Massachusetts. He's a relative of them.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I wrote the ladies a letter saying what my plans might be.
Right?
You know, I offered them $7,500 for the land. And maybe a month later, I got a call from Nat Duvall, lawyer in town.
Uh-huh.
And he said, the ladies will accept your offer of $7,500 for the land. I said, I'll take it.
Wasn't that smart?
And then we got that all settled and everything. And I didn't want to do too much to that empty lot. Wayne Ryan, who bought Donovan's, that used to be Nick's Cafe there, I was in there one day and he said, what do you want to do with that land? Oh, I said, I might just keep it for old time's sake. He said, why don't you sell it? I said, well, you want it? He says, yeah, I'll buy it. The price is right. So I sold it to him for $8,000.
Well, I guess you made a profit.
But he had to clean it up. It was costing X number of money, you know.
Oh, smart,
And
Del.
of course, we had the land that was more valuable for the diner.
Exactly.
You know.
Yes. And it paid for what you had to spend on the land for the diner.
Sure.
That was very clever. Who would have known?
Yeah.
Oh, that was very smart. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So let's close, because you've remembered so many people that I'm sure will love hearing your stories and hearing.
Can
their
I mention
names.
a couple of families?
Oh, no, absolutely. That's where I was going with this. Yes.
Yeah, because these families every day supported me.
Wow.
And these families like the Rummel family, the Emerson family, the Coda family, Miller family, the Almond family. That's another thing. The Almond family, every weekend they came and ordered big meals to go.
Oh, wow.
And all these, the great people from Elstead. I had a great crowd from Elstead.
Huh.
And they spent a lot of money.
Uh-huh.
And they were such supportive of me. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all.
Yeah, but I listened to Andy, and he said, "You take care of your regulars, you'll be okay."
Yeah, and that still is true today.
Yep.
Right? For any business owner, your regular customer base is who you depend upon
Yep.
to come in and support you.
Yeah.
You had given me a list of delivery people, which I found so interesting. So let's just review that as well. I'm sure
Sure.
people would enjoy it. So you said you got your eggs from Charles Keefe.
Yes.
Now, so who was he local?
Oh, he was in Walpole,
Okay.
and he used to come in every day and check on my egg supply.
Uh-huh.
You know, and have a mop and a coffee, and every day, because I used to probably average
Okay.
2.5, 3 cases a week.
Can't even imagine. Really.
Yeah.
It's like the coffee.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you said you got your milk from Bartlett's Dairy.
Bartlett's Dairy. He'd be
And
there.
where were they?
They were down across from Red Light Hill there.
Oh, right here in town.
Yeah, right in town.
Okay.
And he was there at 4:30 every morning. 5:30 every morning. Yeah.
Jeez.
And then there was the bread man.
Harold Bushway, right?
Oh, great friend of mine.
Yeah. Was he local also?
Well, they had their annex down in Westminster by Allen Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was there first thing in the morning, the delivery.
But he's the local person.
Yeah.
He was a local person, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Then
then,
I had Morgan Linen out of Boston
right.
for the linen service. But
So that interests me, out of Boston.
yeah,
So what did they do? Just a big loop of all kinds of customers? Like as far away as here?
well, they had roots up through here.
Wow.
All the linen and
Right,
aprons and towels and so forth.
right.
And my best friend Dave Hook, he lives in Keene, and became best friends.
Oh, is he still in Keene?
Yeah, he's still there.
Well, he's going to have to come to the diner reopening
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, he's a great friend, as is Harold Bushlight. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And then Elkin Coffee, I remember that company.
Yeah, I think they're
Elkin
from
Coffee.
Nashua or somewhere over near
Yeah,
there.
big coffee company. I don't know if they're still around, but that's
Yeah.
where you got your coffee from.
Yeah.
No fancy kind of coffee beans, just like good old
Yeah,
coffee,
yeah.
diner coffee, right?
Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah,
And then was there, Boston Fish and Meat.
Yeah, I used to deal with J.A. Sanborn in Boston for my fish.
Okay.
And sometimes I go down and pick it up myself. Take one of my friends and
Right from the ocean.
Yeah.
and down on the pier.
Wow.
And Lenny was the salesman. And one time I went down there and went in where they do all the fish work. And I saw him. I said, "Lenny, geez, got any swordfish handy?" He says, "Yeah, you come with me," he says. So we went right out in the back room. He had this great big piece of swordfish out there. He says, "How much you want?" I said, "Gee, that's a big one." I said, "Maybe a couple of pieces." So he picks me right up a couple of pieces. And I said, "Is this for you?" He says, "Well, I'm trying to get some points in with my father-in-law." And I gave one to my father and mother, and one to her father and mother. Yeah.
That worked.
Yeah, sure did.
He did.
Yeah, and
And then
every year he'd come up with his wife before Christmas and have a meal there and give me a bottle of whiskey.
Aha. Every Christmas? That's a good
Christmas.
Christmas present.
Yep.
And then where did you get your meat from?
And I got my meat from Irvin Levitt, a meat factory right there in Boston.
Oh, in Boston as well.
Yep. And of course I got a lot of meat from them too.
Yeah.
Plus I made my own sausage too.
You made your own
yeah.
sausage.
Well,
Really?
what I did was I ordered these pork butts from the meat company,
Right?
and I don't know how many pounds, 100 and something at a time. And I'd have Mike burn them in Dick St. Pierre, who owned a store, North Awful grocery store, up by Mr. G's there.
Oh,
Used to
okay.
be. And I take over my seasoning, and they cut it up and grind it all up for me. And I bring it back to the diner, and I had the lady who worked for me in the back room roll it up in, rolls,
Yeah.
and put it in the freezer. Then when I'm about ready to need some out front, we take a roll or two out and
Wow.
put it on the meat slicer. And but it's
Oh.
really good sausage because
So fresh.
and the seasoning was great. I had to get it out of Chicago.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So when you graduated from Fanny Farmer Culinary School, did you ever have a notion that one day you would be running the Miss Bellows Falls Diner?
Definitely not.
What was your thinking about the direction that you were going to go in? Like, were you going to be a chef at some restaurant, or had you thought about that?
I really didn't think too much of it.
You just knew you loved to cook.
Yeah, whatever come along,
Well,
Of course, I had to be careful because of my eye situation.
uh-huh.
Because I was blind when I was 10 years old, and
Oh my goodness. No,
And
I
they-
didn't realize that.
they got the sight back in one eye, and it just kept getting worse and worse as the years went on. And 7 years ago, I could see hardly anything. And I had a sister that we were trying to get the sight back in this eye down at Tufts Medical Center.
Uh-huh.
My sister gave me some stem cell transplants, and that didn't work. It ruptured that retina.
Oh gosh.
So my good eye, it was just I couldn't see hardly anything. So they sent me out to Kentucky,
Kentucky.
and my sister came with me again, and she donated stem cell transplants, and they're still working. They're still in there, the stem cells,
Yeah.
but it ruptured the retina, so I lost that.
Oh my
So
goodness,
my
Del.
sister was just wonderful. So
Oh, to be able to do
to
that.
do that,
And it makes your accomplishments all the more amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing what you've been able to do.
Yeah,
What a career.
yeah. My friends, her sister and husband drove us out a couple of times, and my best friend Dave Hook, he drove us out once or twice, and
Wow.
my sister and her husband. So I didn't have any problem getting transportation.
No. Well, what's not to love, Del, and what's not to love, Joanne, with the
Right.
both of you, really. Wonderful, wonderful contributions to this community and just throughout your lives. I have so enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for sharing all of this amazing information. People will watch this, and every name that you bring up will bring up a memory for them as well. And all the times they went in the diner from when they were little kids until now, really. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for this.
Yeah.
So
Can I
just,
mention one more
oh,
thing?
you can keep going. I'm not worn out. I don't want to wear you out, but just please.
No, that early mornings, we used to get people in there, and like Governor Tom Salmon,
No kidding.
he and his chauffeur, Jimmy Cannon, they used to stop and get coffee and breakfast here before he headed for Montpelier.
So you had famous people there too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
Any really surprising visitors? Like you would never expect to see them in Bellows
Yeah.
Falls?
a couple of athletes, I
Uh-huh.
know pitchers from the Boston Red Sox.
No kidding.
Bill Lee, he was a pitcher. I don't know, he stopped in a couple of times.
Who is that famous baseball player from Charlestown?
Pudgy Fisk.
Yes. Did he ever come to the diner that you knew of?
Pudgy didn't, but his brother-in-law, Rick Miller, did.
Uh-huh.
Rick married Pudgy's sister.
Okay.
They no longer together, but Rick came in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was one of my brother's good friends. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
and I'm sure there's other people, I can't remember them all.
Oh, no, I think that you have done extraordinarily well today, painting a picture
Sure.
of your time at the diner. Seriously. So maybe one more time, let's hold up that T-shirt.
No, okay. We'll see what we can do here.
Yes. And remember, everybody watching, you're going to be able to buy a replica of this T-shirt courtesy of Charlie Hunter.
Where's the head of it?
Oh, no, you're doing good. Here
You're
you
doing
go.
very well.
No,
that's the bottom.
Please.
There we go.
Take it like this.
Right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
The eggs on front.
The eggs are on the front. Perfect. Perfect angle.
Eggs on the
Sunny side up. This is thanks to the woman who took off her bra
front. Yep.
at the diner.
And
Dell's
it's on-
Diner.
on back,
And
yeah.
Charlie will spruce that up with an image of the diner that Ezra Veach contributed to the diner mugs.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That belongs to Amy Burke.
Well, thank you, Amy, for sharing that memory. We'll be sure and get you a new one when they're done so you can add to your collection.
Yep.
So for anybody who's interested in finding out what's going on with the diner, you can go to the Miss Bellows Falls Diner website online. You can come to any of our listening sessions at the library. Our next one is March 28th at 7 o'clock, so that we can hear your feedback about the proposed plans for the diner during the course of the restoration and renovation. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity for input. And of course, we want to hear your stories. If there's anybody else who's listening or watching who has their own stories that they'd like to share about the diner, please reach out and contact Fact TV and let them know, and then they will provide that information to me, and we can set up another taping time. So again, Dell and Joanne, stars of the moment, thank you for kicking off the Diner Dialogues, and I hope everybody has really enjoyed watching, and we'll see you with the new diner in 2025.
Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.